Hey guys, welcome back. Zito here from the Peer Dependency. Today, let's talk about joinable threads. So when we invoke pthread create and create a new thread, we can set that new thread to one of two modes. And those modes are joinable and detached. And here with backticks for each of these points, we see the constant that the pthreads library exposes to us. The joinable thread is the mode that's created by default. So if you don't set any of those thread attributes, you will have a joinable thread. And at any point during the thread's lifecycle, you can change a joinable thread into a detached thread, but never the other way around. So if we were to invoke pthread create and set on the thread attributes the pthread create detached flag, we can never change that thread into a joinable thread. But if we create a thread that is joinable, at some arbitrary point, we can decide to detach it into a daemon thread. Now let's look at an illustration of what thread joining means. On the right here, we have a line that is vertical. This is your parent thread, and then we can see that there's a child thread being created at some point. This is the fork point, marked as fork point F. At fork point F, the parent calls pthread create and creates a new child thread. Now, the parent thread continues its execution flow. At some point in time, it gets to this join point J toward the bottom. And you see here we have the word block. And this is because at join point J, the parent is going to block until the child thread terminates. And here, join really means wait. Now, given that POSIX threads is a standard, you'll notice that the join method is available in languages like Java and Python, as well as C with the pthreads header library. This is a common function, but really I like to think of join as synonymous with wait, because really what you're saying here is when I invoke pthread join, I want to wait, I want to block execution flow until this child thread that I've passed into the join function has returned. So when does a joinable thread actually join? It joins when it terminates. And as we learned in the previous video, there's three ways to terminate a thread. Either its function handler returns, or the thread invokes pthread exit and explicitly returns, and third, that thread could be canceled. So at any of these points, the thread is terminated and pthread join is invoked. How does it get invoked? In this case, the child thread sends a join signal to the parent, and that is what causes pthread join to finally be invoked and unblock. Only when the child joins the parent are its resources like stack memory released. And as we saw briefly when we talked about thread termination in the previous video, we can return data, the return val, via the pthread exit function and store it in the second argument to pthread join. So here we see in C what a pthread join call would look like. We pass in as the first argument the thread ID of the thread that we want to join or for which we want to await termination. And the second argument is a pointer in which the return value will be stored. Now, there's not really that many rules about which thread can join another. Threads are peers. Even though we use the terms parent and child for illustrative purposes, threads are really peers. They can join other threads, just not the main thread. Of course, you don't even have a thread ID for the main thread, but yeah, you can't join the main thread. Terminating that would mean terminating the entire process and all threads therein. So let's go ahead and write some code and see how to create joinable threads.